Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I welcome all of you. Myself, C. Abhay, convener of Development of International Trade Services and WTO Directorate ICI. I have with me my esteemed council colleagues who are there on the screen virtually, and CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal from Delhi is the deputy convener of the Directorate. CA Sanjeev Sanghi from Kolkata, who has very good experience in terms of the global capability centers, which we now have this very important webinar today. I'm very happy to welcome our eminent speaker today, who's joined, Ruchita Ankit Shah. Thank you so much, Ruchita, for joining. And of course, from the office, we have the Monica. She is there, the secretary of the directorate. So just to congratulate all the members who are here today, this is the beginning of the Global Udan webinar series. So I have great pleasure to welcome all of you for this inaugural session. Expansion in GCC, and we have experts, of course, will be sharing their knowledge, the experiences. But in India, the business, the financial landscape, creating exciting opportunities, and of course, with the challenges for the accounting professionals, all that we discussed today. And as we all know, GCC plays a very pivotal role in accounting, managing the financial reporting, compliances, accounts payable, receivables, and much more for the multinational corporations. So, and then the ERP systems, the automations, analytics, enhance efficiency, reduce cost, all those advantages are there. But definitely, it also help in strategic decision makings in terms of budgeting, forecasting, mergers, acquisition, due diligence. So a lot of things will be discussed today with this distinguished panel of experts, my council colleagues. And I'm sure we'll have a very insightful and a valuable discussion and the role of chartered accountant in this dynamic ecosystem, helping us to navigate emerging opportunities and challenges. So I think with this, I once again welcome the esteemed speakers, my council colleagues, Deputy Sanjeev Singhal, and of course the keynote speaker, Sanjeev Sanghi, and every participants today. And I'm sure we'll have a very active participation. Please share your perspectives, make the most out of this opportunity. And this series started, we'll be having a Global Udan webinar series where we'll come out with new topics, opportunities, especially in terms of outsourcing services, GCCs, and various other foreign trade policies, agreements, import exports opportunities, members who can get into each one of you for a fruitful and enlightening session. So thank you once again for joining all of you. And I would request now my Directorate Deputy Convener, CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal. So please share his views with his experience in GC.
Thank you, Abhay. Thank you very much for the opening remarks. In fact, Global Udan, as the name suggests, is the gateway to the world for our chartered accountants. And we are fortunate that today we have the subject matter experts led by our own council colleague, CA Sanjeev Sanghi, and the speaker, CA Ruchita Ankit Shah. Friends, as you would know that India is the hub for the GCCs. India is the house for more than 50% GCCs of the world. And what is driving this revolution? That is simply the capability of the Indians and the cost at which we can deliver the services, the quality of the services, which has put India in a unique position, and we are going from strength to strength. If I have to talk about only the accounting and finance area, more than 40,000 chartered accountants are gainfully employed in GCCs, and over 500,000 people are working in the GCCs. India is the hub for inbound GCCs or the captive GCCs, as well as the GCCs which are working on a freelance basis. In fact, Delhi NCR has 19% of the India's GCC, and some of the best known brands are working. And as we travel throughout the country, and even in last 6 days, we have been to more than 10 places. There's a great amount of interest in our members regarding the GCCs. And we have seen across the length and breadth of the country that the GCC also comprises of a single member, and there are GCCs with 100,000 people. So sky is the limit. The kind of margins which the members are able to make is simply amazing. What is required is the technical expertise, the knowledge of the market, the access to the technology, and of course, it is the smaller towns who are going to take a lead in this. To help our members, our directorate has taken many initiatives. This Global Udan is one such initiative. Apart from that, there is a certificate course in which detailed discussion happens on the GCC landscape. So far, we've been catering to the US market. Now, we'll be going ahead with the other markets also. Our module will be available as a mandatory module, which will give an overview of the GCCs as a whole. And then it will relate to the specific markets, for example, US, UK, and going forward, Australia, etc. We also understand that at times language may be a barrier. For example, if you're working for Japan or if you're working for German, and we understand that. So that is why we are starting, and we are already running some of the language courses. So friends, it is you who have to take the first step. And that first step is that, yes, I want to set up a GCC, and then work towards it. Have a goal and classify that goal into the various steps that you have to take. In our Global Udan webinar series, our esteemed speakers will be dealing with all these aspects. My humble request to all of you is that kindly listen to them very carefully, ask any questions that you may have, and after attending this webinar series, if you feel that you want to go into this field, we would strongly suggest that you also join the certificate courses or some of the language courses that you may need. I've seen this space very, very closely. There are a number of chartered accountants with whom I have a regular interaction, and they are doing exceedingly well in this area. Not only in accounting and finance, some of our members are doing a great job in AI outsourcing as well, or they have an AI GCC as well. Within a span of 4 years, they have raised in terms of the revenue from $0 million to $12 million. And of course, there'll be more success stories which you may not be aware of, but I'm sure that this is one of the area for future. And I'm really excited about this series, and I'm sure that there'll be many takeaways for all of you. With this, I'll hand it over to my esteemed council colleague, CA Sanjeev Sanghi, for giving a keynote address on this very, very important topic of GCCs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev sir, and hearty congratulations to the Committee on International Trade Services and WTO, led by Abhay Chajaji, who is the convener of this committee, and the deputy convener. The series called Global Udan. I also want to congratulate Uchita for being a panel speaker on this session. The series which we have started called Global Udan is basically a dream, a thought, an action, an agenda which each and every chartered accountant needs to take going forward. What we have seen, or what I have personally seen in my last 25 years of journey working as a GCC is, the whole world is looking for us. Today, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, under the leadership of Abhay and Sanjeev, is making sure that we all together can be accountants for the world. We all can become global accountants. And when we talk about GCC, a name, a buzz, which is now becoming very, very important, is talking about capabilities. It's talking about skill set. And before even getting to that skill set of what are those necessary skills we need to have, first and foremost thing is to have that mindset, which Sanjeev sir has already said, that let's take a first beginning. Let's take that first step. And I think that becomes very, very important to what to do, how to get started, and what is the next step going forward. So many of us become a chartered accountant. I want to be very, very practical and make it very engaging and interactive. Is when we become a chartered accountant, we have hundreds of opportunities. We want to work under a GCC unit. We want to do our own startup. We want to practice on a specialized sector, or we want to run a traditional firm or go for a job. There are multiple ways we look at things. But today, what is happening is the whole world, as I said, is now looking for us. We have been traveling across the world and we have been seeing opportunities of specialization. When Sanjeev sir was talking about AI getting outsourced, it was, let's say 25, 30 years back, it was more of transactional processing. When I say transactional processing, it is more about how we are basically, entering each and every transactions from a basic document to a software. Those things are gone. It is all taken over by AI. Like now it's more of let's talk about decision support system. Let's talk about engagement. Let's talk about KPIs. Let's talk about dashboards. So we have to upskill ourselves to that level, wherein, as said by both the gentlemen, that we are going to come up with a lot of series on upskilling yourself on Power BI to start with, maybe on various data analytical goals. Because today, when we are talking about working with an accountant across the world or with client across the world, the expectation with us is like working as a partner to help them, empower them, and to work with them on the decision-based system, on a system wherein they get things done at the click of a button. So we need to learn how we can be collaborative. Now, the second important aspect, which is more important, is how we can get information at the click of a button. So we have to create a system wherein we know each and every work which is being done in our organization can be measured and can be managed, and that too anytime from anywhere. If we create a system like that, then we can go back to our counterparts across the world to say, hey, our entire team is working with you, and this is how we are going to manage this whole operations. We just cannot go back to them and say, sir, we are here to work for you. Do you have work for us? It is about creating those capabilities, and those capabilities is all about, creating an approach of how we want to work with global firms. What are the expectations? Apart from giving them two important advantages of the best turnaround time and cost arbitrage, I think they are looking more for the value today. The value analysis is now becoming more important, wherein you go forward and say, we give you more value than what you are going to get from your team. So the dedication, the professionalism, discipline, commitment makes a very, very important role to set up your own GCC. And again, when you say about GCC, there is a very elementary difference between outsourcing and GCC. Let me tell you that. What used to happen before is, there was a situation wherein I give you the work and there is a black box between, where you are doing what you are doing and you're delivering me back the work, and I'm going to pay you back on the basis of dollars per hour or euros per hour, whatever the currency they are using. Today, we need 100% transparency. Each and every counterpart sitting abroad needs to know what exactly is happening inside your organization. Who is working on what? Who is taking what responsibility? What is the work they are doing? What is the deadline behind it, and how far they have achieved it? The entire query process, the entire split of work, the entire task management, document management, each and everything is 100% controlled. They want full control over the system, because there's a huge situation where risk, cybersecurity, and data risk plays a very important role. So we also need to make sure that our organization are certified by some ISO, and we are going to come up with more series on how we can make our firm ISO certified, maybe ISO 27001 certified, how we can be more data compliant, more security compliant, more information compliant, and our team working towards it. Another very important aspect when we are thinking on these lines is SOPs. Now, we generally tend to work based on our thought process. There's not a documented approach, but the entire objective of a GCC is to have everything defined under a standard operating procedures. Even if you are doing a process, it has to be defined, documented, and followed. And if there's any change in the entire process, that also needs to be updated back into the SOP. So documentation plays a very, very important role when we are thinking on those lines. So as I said, the mindset of coming forward, number one, mindset of taking the risk, mindset of networking with people around the world, mindset of traveling, coming out of the comfort zone, and not just saying, hey, I want to do this work. I have a setup of 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Can I get this work? It's about going back to them, connecting with them, engaging with them, and inspiring them with the work which we are doing. So those are the things which we need to do when, so far as the mindset is concerned. So far as skills are concerned, that second important aspect, the skill set. In that aspect, what we need to do is to make sure that we have all the global capabilities. If we are working on a country, we need to know their laws, we need to know their regulations, we need to know the expectations, the firm which they are working on, and we have to go back and tell them that it is something which we can do very closely with you, and we can do it better than what your team is doing for you. Because if we can show them the value in terms of quality, in terms of time, and in terms of cost, only then we will be able to partner with them, because they are going to take a huge risk of actually giving their data, their confidence, their trust on us. And for that, we need to make ourselves available. The availability is then a very, very important thing which needs to be taken up, where you cannot go back and say, hey, we are enjoying holidays in India, or we are doing something, we have a festival, or we have something. The availability and the deadlines becomes very, very important. So it has a lot of challenges. I'm talking about all the challenges. We all know the plus points. We all know the difference in exchange. We all know the value behind it. But we have to understand that if we want to get into this industry, it requires 100% dedication and focus and commitment towards it. So those all surround yourself into skills. And the last but the most important part is the tools. We have to learn cloud computing. We have to learn different work management tools on how we are managing work, document management tools, password management tools, because each and everything becomes very important. If you are not able to engage your entire team in such a way that each and every one who is joining the organization know exactly what they are doing and who is doing what is the escalation, how the entire thing is getting addressed, I think we will not be able to give that experience, a seamless experience to that organization, because we are at arm's length away. So they should have 100% transparency on exactly what is going on and what is the status of each and every work, by work type, by client, and by the team. So they can exactly go back to that team and say, hey, what's the status of this work? How are things going behind this? So there's a huge opportunity for India and Indian chartered accountants to become global accountants. And this committee is all set to make sure that under the leadership of Abhayji, to make sure that we will corner each and every counterparts across the world, and will try to create opportunities, create platforms, build skills, build capabilities. And we want more and more people, more and more experts to come forward and work with us to make sure that every single chartered accountants are identified and be given an opportunity to work for clients across the world. That's all I want to say. I think Arpit has already joined. I was waiting just for him and Ruchita to get started, so I was taking up that time. But yes, friends, let me conclude by saying that if we can, and I repeat the word which Arpit always says, and I want to copy that to say, if you know how to network, if you have that entrepreneur skills, if you learn how to specialize with that skills, and if you know technology, I think GCC is something which is easily possible, but it will not happen in a moment or in a single day. You have to believe in it. You have to continuously work for it. Even if you don't want to set up your own practice, you want to work under a GCC, still you have to have those skills. to get yourself employed over there. If you're already working under a GCC, you have to always upskill yourself to a level where you can, get things done. It's all about how much efficient you are, how much effective you are, and how quickly you can on the whole thing is the key to the success of any GCC which wants to set up on their own or want to work under a GCC. With that, I want to thank Abhay sir for giving me this opportunity, and I will request all the audience who is looking into this, if they have any questions at any point of time, they can always put up on chat and we will take up those questions. Thank you so much. Abhay
Thank
sir?
you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think, Sanjeev, this was truly inspiring, and your experience really adds to, the level of the Global Udan webinar series, because you have 25 years plus experience with so much understanding of GCC. And I'm sure with the specific points and the vital information which you have shared for all the participants, especially, I could pick up some important information like ISO certified. Generally you don't have our firms which are ISO certified. And this is something which may be an expectation from anywhere globally, that if you are an ISO certified or not. Or you spoke about the SOPs, the manual processes internally, how they are defined, which covers not just a specialized person, but also how important the training is, which is regularly being done for those people, and how updated and upgraded they are in terms of the skill set. And I think lastly, which you mentioned was, and I would say the key part is the tools which we are actually using it, whether you talk about cloud computing or any other such tools, which are, I think, the key, and which will always keep you ahead of other GCCs which are in India. So thank you so much, Sanjeev, for your most experience and vital information being shared for all the participants here. And I'm sure going forward, with your experience in Udan series and otherwise in GCC, we'll have a lot of opportunities for our members. Especially, I would talk about small and medium practitioners, because they are looking up to certain opportunities in this area. And I'm sure with our initiative, you being member of this directorate, I being the convener, Sanjeev Singhal being deputy convener, and team, and speakers like Ruchita and others who will be joining in series, will definitely help the participants to understand and create an opportunity within the firm, or create a vertical where they can do better and better for themselves and for, of course, our country, India. So thank you so much, Sanjeev, once again. And I would request, I believe Arpit had joined, but for some technical issue, he's logged out. He'll be joining us physically at the ITO very soon. So then maybe I think I would just request Ruchita. Yes, Sanjeev.
Yeah, Ruchita, if you want to give some opening remarks,
Correct.
you can.
So I
If
was
you
about to
want
say
to
that.
just go with the question and answer, we both can take up those till the
Yes,
time
yes.
Arpit
So,
joins.
so I think I would request Ruchita, please start your deliberation and initially, and then once we have Arpit, or of course both of us are here, we'll.
And Abhayji, I have the questions in front. So,
So we
okay,
have.
so Arpit has already joined. Great.
Yes, yes. So over to you, Ruchita. Thank you so much
Great.
again for your
Yes.
time and making yourself available for this webinar. Thank you. And we have Arpit Kabra, a newly elected council member from Mumbai, who've joined and who's being the moderator for this inaugural session on the Global Udan series. Thank you, Arpit, for being here. And of course, I would request Ruchita for her opening remarks, and then we can request Arpit, Sanjeev to have questions for you, and then we can have, of course, a good interaction. Thank you. Over to you,
Sure.
Ruchita.
Thank you, Abhay sir. And I would really like to first thank Arpit Kapra, Sanjeev Singhal sir, and Sanjeev Sanghi sir for this opportunity. To give a quick introduction about myself, I'm Ruchita Shah. I have been a chartered accountant since 2011. And as sir mentioned, when I just got qualified, I thought I want to do something different. And that is when I found this GCC space. I went into first accounting, and now I'm an auditor into the GCC space. But I think that's how, young chartered accountants are always looking for opportunities to do something different. And I appreciate that the institute is taking this web series and more opportunities and creating awareness about this GCC space. So thank you, Abhay sir, for this WTO committee. I think a lot of people are looking forward to what they can do with these opportunities.
Thanks, Ruchita. I think it's a pleasure to have you on screen. I think when it comes to GCC, there are very few people in the country, chartered accountants, who've been really very instrumental. First of all, at the outset, let me first congratulate all of you today. I'm just coming from Startup Mahakumbh, and believe me, every single government, state governments who have their own incubation centers have recognized ICI as a powerful organization who has actually boosted the entire startup space. I think what we did with startup, we are going to do with GCC, with Abhayji and Sanjeev Singhal. Sanjeev on my next to me. I think all of us are aligned because this is going to be very exciting and absolutely an opportunity that we all are very gung-ho about, and more importantly, will have a huge impact in how we look our ecosystem, our country as a whole. Yesterday, when Piyush Goyal was addressing on the Startup Mahakumbh, he spoke about, startup is not like repackaging your ice creams and selling in a fancy name, gluten-free, diet, healthy, and XYZ. It has to be something more idealistic. He, in fact, went on record to even some people and tell them that, look, let's start doing on semiconductors, on AI and all of this. I'm happy to share that, ICI is already thinking on those lines. Same way in GCC, a concept which is just taking up. It's been present, it's been there, but it's first time ever ICI is recognizing it and have started working towards it. I must congratulate Abhay Bhai and Sanjeev Singhal. Sanjeev, who also has a GCC, who also works, is a founder of a GCC himself, has a lot of information, a lot of value to bring on table. I would request quickly the secretary of this committee, Monica ji, please introduce Ruchita formally so that we can actually set up the stage, because it's important before we start asking questions. And I've got a list of questions, Ruchita. People are here to actually understand how can they embrace GCC. That is the bottom line, and we'll take that in terms. I'll request Monica, please, if you can introduce quickly.
Yes, welcome Ruchita to the webinar. Ruchita is a chartered accountant and a graduate from NM College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai, and she has a vast years of experience in hedge fund industry, currently performing audits in financial service sector industry, which includes audits of brokers and others. She is now the senior manager at Eisner Empire. And before joining Eisner Empire, she was working in the position of associate manager with Globe of Financial Services, dealing with fund accounting team. And she worked on the daily profit and loss calculations and the NAV reconciliations, and also has provided training to many new joiners on the process flow and systems. She also has done, she's a continuous work ethic and level of education has inspired her to grow and challenge herself daily. Welcome, Ruchita, to this show. And welcome all the audience on the webinar of Global Capability Centers in India, Navigating the Accounting Profession. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. So Global Udaan, taking a first step towards Global Udaan, may I request all the audience, if you are if you have something, any questions that you have, please start posting in questions. Monica is accumulating all these questions and we'll be asking to Ruchita live. Ruchita, to start off with, can you please give us some background about GCCs and how they've evolved in this country, in this wonderful ecosystem over the past decade?
Sure, Arpit. So I think GCC is a new buzzword now. Everyone is talking about the last 1-2 years GCC, but I think it is not a new concept. Like, Sanjeev Singhal sir mentioned, it has been like 25 years. We saw that. So GCC is a global capacity center. For anyone who hasn't heard it before, talking from very base, it's when an MNC sets up their center in any other regions of the world. So that's the basic explanation of a GCC. We saw that before 25 years, this started with the IT sector, where Bangalore, Hyderabad, these locations were set up as these GCCs, and people started working remotely. Over a period of time, we saw accounting profession, took charge of it. And basically 60% of the GCCs right now are from US, but we are also seeing a growth in UK, Australia, different countries now setting up their GCCs in India. Over the past decade, what I've seen is that initially the growth was very slow for the accounting sector. I personally am from Eisner Amper, India. where I joined Eisenhower India in 2015, where we were 20 people. Right now, we are 800 plus. And that's the growth story of a lot of GCCs that I know. A lot of CPA firms have come and set up here and have, flourished here. Think also what I would say is COVID hit us, and a lot of people who were not very, conducive to the remote work model changed their perspective that remote working is working, because they saw, along with the cost arbitrage with which GCCs entered India initially, but then they saw cost arbitrage is not the only thing. We are getting a skilled labor, you know, that we are getting quality work. And that's when the trajectory happened. The COVID pushed it that anyone over the globe, and that's when we actually became a global market, that there are no boundaries. Technology, I would say, was the key enabler to this. With technology, anyone in the world could work from anywhere. Also, I think evolution, when we were talking about, there is a recent, yesterday, we saw how GCCs have flourished. And to just quote one more example from my firm, a GCC, Eisenhower India, which was set up with 7 people in 2007, has been named by Forbes India as the to be watched out company for 2025. That's how the evolution, and that's how GCCs have flourished.
So Ruchita, just taking a pause here. You tell me, you just mentioned about GCCs coming from a IT perspective, and we've seen a lot of KPOs being there, and a lot of call centers and XYZ that are coming up. Now tell me, in accounting profession, how is this relevant? And we just got a question from one of our audience that what are the skill sets that a chartered accountant needs to be relevant in the GCC, or how to set up that GCC kind of thing. So I'll break that into two. First, if you can tell me, we've seen the call centers, we've seen the KPOs, and we've seen a lot of, controversies around that also while they're catering to international markets. Now, for accounting profession, how are these relevant? And so you've given an example of your own organization, but I'm saying beyond that, in a generic manner, more importantly, in India, how will GCCs play a very good role in accounting profession?
So I think when it comes to accounting, what started in the IT sector was call centers. It was a back office operation, and we had a lot of controversies. People didn't feel it was a good thing to do, and there were a lot of inhibitions attached to it. But when it came to accounting, I think it started as what Sir mentioned, transactional accounting, bookkeeping. But from there, it picked up from to end-to-end accounting, end-to-end taxation, financial reporting, to now. I would say that it's not just about accounting, it's about analytics, it's about financial reporting, strategic. So the spectrum with which accounting was looked at has increased. The opportunities have increased. What chartered accountants contributed back then, when we say the word chartered accountants, the first thing that comes to mind is accountant. And that is what it started with, that, okay, we will send work of accounting. But it started with accounting, and it has grown leaps and bounds to various other verticals like analysis, financial planning, budgeting, forecasting. So different areas and spectrums have now been included in the GCC space.
I think very good input. I will request Sanjeev Bhai, because since you are in this space, you tell us, I mean, what is your take on how is this, relevant for accounting as a profession, and what is the difference that you see?
So I think I'll just echo to what Ruchita has said in 3 words. So what we used to do 25, 30 years back was hindsight. So we are working on historical data.
Okay.
The data which is already being done, like payment has been done, purchase has been done, invoice has been taken. We are just compiling those information and getting that converted into an information. Now the trend is towards insight and foresight. So from hindsight, we are shifting to insight, wherein we are doing the analysis part, which Ruchita was talking about. We are doing the KPI analysis. We are doing benchmarking. We are doing peer-to-peer comparison. We are talking about how your industry is, what is your comparable with the matching standards across the industry. And now slowly you're moving towards foresight. So foresight is where AI becomes a very important role, plays a very important role, where we see the patterns, we see the trend analysis. We are doing the budgeting, forecasting of revenue, forecasting of what if analysis. What if I do this? What if I get into a product industry? What if I start a new company? What if I do this? So we predict based on the past historical data, based on the insight. So this entire journey is transforming and going with a huge speed. That is what I think. So the role of chartered accountant, which you are rightly saying, is now not more into compliance. It is moving from compliance to reliance.
Wow.
So I think that is where people are looking for us to rely upon us to help them transform, help them grow, help them evolve, and help them, see the future. So this is where chartered accountants, since they understand the data so well, they understand the business so well, the objectives of the business so well, they can take help of tech guys. They can understand those tech tools and actually get on predicting the future for these clients.
Very important point that you've highlighted, and therefore, Ruchita, a good question that even audiences also raised. What is the difference between a traditional practice now that a chartered accountant was doing or is currently doing, and what is he expected to do as a part of GCC function? And why do you see a normal existing chartered accountant transitioning into a GCC, and how does that happen?
Yes, I think it is very easy for chartered accountants to transition into GCC because our foundation is very strong. We are all chartered accountants, so our knowledge, our foundations are very strong. The only difference is that we have all studied the Indian accounting standards. We just need to understand whatever country we are working for. So there is one more upskilling that is needed. So the basic criteria, I think, when entering into a GCC is technical upskilling. You need to study whatever country you are going to work with, their accounting standards, their gap, and that. And another thing that I think is very important along with technical skills is communication skills. Because even if you are technically 100% compliant, when you are working with someone maybe in the US, if you are not able to communicate to them, I think then the transition gets lost. So I think soft skills and technical skills are a very balanced combination needed in a GCC.
Sanjeev, your take on this?
Yeah, I think we are all talking about the expectations which the people across the world have. So communication, right? I just want to add a few more things to this as how you collaborate, work together, engage. Like it's more of working as a team rather than working outside. So it's like one team working together. Now, when you define a team, you have a comfort to say, hey, that person is sitting next to me. I can go and talk to him. I can say, you are doing this right, you're doing this wrong. How am I doing that same? How am I getting that same comfort when I'm working with a team who is 30,000 miles away? So if you create that ecosystem where they get that comfort and confidence to say that I can pick that person, I can talk to them anytime from anywhere and can have full control on what they are doing and how they are doing, I think that is becoming the most important factor today.
So, so keeping in mind accounting standards as a knowledge, taxation as a knowledge, then you've talked about IFRS, for example, US GAAP and all of this, auditing standards. I think India is giving birth to the forensic accounting investigation standards. Probably very soon we'll have internal audit standards. So a lot of things that we are, ICI is.
I want to add into this, Arpit. With the experience which Ruchita has and the experience which I have, there is a difference. So when she's talking about accounting standards and GAAP and US GAAP, I think 80 to 90% of the market is not looking for that.
Okay.
They are looking for a strong accounting skills. They are looking for a visionary skills. What she's talking about is those large sector enterprise and big companies who is looking for US GAAP and accounting standards and all those things. I'm talking of when we are dealing with small and mid-sized firms, they are going to look upon small and mid-sized accounting firms who are again working for a small and mid-sized clients where these are not applicable. What is applicable is how you can turn around things. If you go back to them and say, hey, I'm getting all your bank reconciled, I'm getting all your payrolls entered, I'm getting your tax returns completed, that is not a value. Those are becoming now a byproducts. What is now becoming more valuable is how you give them a good information system, how they can understand the business at the click of a button, how they know where the numbers are, where the cash is, where the profit is, what is driving their profit, what is actually the most determinant factor, and how they can compare their industry with something comparable to it. So budgeting plays a very important. So all those elements knows very, very well is what is more expected in 70 to 80% of the case.
Super.
I hope Ruchita will agree with me on this.
I totally agree, sir. I think what in the world right now, where we have AI to do the mundane task, everyone wants to focus on what is critical, what will add more value to their business. So I think that is a very key driving factor that people look for.
Super. So, people, if you are ready to jump on GCC wagon, your profile should have these attributes that we've spoken about. One, that you can actually add value in terms of do them analysis, tell them where the profits are, where the cash flows are, where is it lacking, how do they improvise on this. I think these are some more dashboards kind of solutions that you want to provide. And apart from that, as he said, and what Rishna mentioned, as a byproduct, could be an account outsourcing stuff, could be the compliances of TDS and all of that, taxation, your payroll processing, all of that, and the reconciliation, bank reconciliation, etc. So one thing's for sure, we've understood the how of GCC. Now, Ruchita, moving on next, also in the entire landscape of account sourcing, outsourcing, tax, auditing, and financial reporting, these are three pillars that everyone knows. What do you think? Can someone enter this space, and how should they enter into this space?
So I think tax, accounting, and we all as chartered accountants have done that. We have done taxes, we've done accounting. But when we go into the GCC space, I think a lot of focus is on standardization, efficiency, automation. That is what will change the landscape and what has been changing the landscape, I think, of this industry. Also, I would say initially when it was more process driven, more piecemeal work, as I think sir would agree, when big four GCCs started, it was piecemeal work, but now it is all end-to-end work. So I think that is how the landscape of all these services have changed across the years.
Can you elaborate more on how these services have changed? My question is, how do we get that breakthrough? What do these chartered accountants do? So, for example, I understand you want to make some SOPs now. You want to do the kind of so we're doing all of this in India. Now, how do we showcase these abilities outside? How do we get that breakthrough?
So,
Sanjeev, yeah.
So I think we have so many people who have joined this webinar. The most important question which each and every one will be having in their mind is how to get that breakthrough.
Perfect.
How to get that first client. I think let me take up that question, because I have gone through that journey of getting that first client, that first process, that first journey.
Before you say that, let me tell all the audience there are some more interesting questions. Don't feel that this is the main point of this. There's something more coming up as well.
Yeah, so it's not a magic. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, and believe in yourself, which will take you forward into this. Definitely, networking plays a very important role. Definitely, as I said, you have to go visit different countries which you want to focus upon. Attend those seminars, physical conferences, network with them. But internally, you have to be ready. So the biggest gap is I'll do when I get the work. Vis-a-vis, I'll get my things ready. I get my infrastructure ready. I get my team ready. I get them to that level. Maybe it's a small size team of 5 people, 10 people, whatever you want to budget for. But if you don't have that ready with you, and that's the investment you have to do in yourself, into your team. And then you go back. If you go back to a client and say, hey, can you give me work? And once you give me that work, I'll start building a team. I'll start creating that infrastructure. I'll start getting into all of that. They will never trust you. If you show them the setup that, well, I'm not doing this, but I'm doing something similar where I have an existing infrastructure with these policies, with this system, with this team, and these are the skill set we have, I think that will inspire them to start with something very, very small. So always expect that you might get a very small assignment or a single client. Build upon that. Maybe in the first 6 months to a year, you will be facing losses. But that will help you grow the confidence of your client. You say, yes, these guys now are working with us and they're doing 200%. They're taking all the efforts to make sure that, they live up to the expectations. That's how the thing is going to go forward.
Ruchita, over to you.
Yep, very well said, sir. I think that is the most important, I think. And we have Arpit here, who's a master in networking. I think networking is the key. How you build those connections, how you get people to have confidence in you, get them that I have the setup ready. Whatever you need, we are here to. Sometimes you might not have the setup ready, but if you are confident and you know in your mind that you can, once taken the task, you will be able to do it. Sometimes it's that one leap of faith is needed that, okay, I took this work, I'll get it done with the utmost quality.
And what would you suggest starting points for this networking? So I understand websites, I understand LinkedIn, I understand physical travel to these places. How are these people? How do these people interact? How do when you are going there for a opportunity? When you're going there to interact and they know that they are here to ask work from us, how do you think they entertain you, or how do they take this?
I think if this question was asked few years back, the answer would be different because not everyone was very approachable or open-minded, and there was also this thing, our work will go away to India, or those concerns were there. But I think now, over the period, people have become very open-minded. In fact, I would say sometimes it's the other way around. When you are in a room, it's that people would approach you. That I think it is that people would approach you that, we have this opportunity, we are looking for work. So I think for India, the tables have turned now. It's not that sometimes when you go into a room, it's not that we are asking for work. There are people who are looking for us to give the work.
And what are the hygiene factors that you need to keep in mind while interacting with these people?
I think just be confident. I think sometimes when you are not confident, you know a lot, you know that you can deliver a lot, but when you are not confident, you are not able to give pitch well. I think that's when you don't win a pitch. Otherwise, it's not that no one has the capability. Everyone has the capability. I think it's just about giving the right pitch, selling it to the right person, and doing pre-homework before approaching someone. That you have a basic idea of what they are looking for, and then build up on it.
So these are good things to know. I think very relevant for the audience. I think we've just got questions about that, and I will dwell on this more. Let me first also try and understand what are the different career growth opportunities in these GCCs existing.
I think career growth opportunities, as you mentioned, the initial broad lined are audit, accounting, taxation, financial reporting, but we also see a lot of chartered accountants now in financial analysis, planning, broadcasting, budgeting. So I would say AI, the opportunities are limitless now. It's about just which space you enter. But from there, the growth is limitless. Because when the GCCs were small, they only hired for maybe preparation work, review work. Now then the GCCs are grown, you need people to manage the team, you need people in leadership roles. So I think even those avenues have opened up for chartered accountants, where cause they know the work that is to be done and they understand people, they also want to hire chartered accountants for leadership roles.
What are the specific sets of skills that you actually look? What are the trainings that you would require for people to get into GCCs, or understanding that we don't study the international curriculum, and then how do you then what are the skill set that you see that one should have to make sure that in GCC we can for a career growth and different opportunities?
So a lot of people ask this question, especially when I interview people. This question really comes up that I haven't studied US GAAP, or I haven't studied Dubai tax. So how am I supposed to crack an interview if I'm applying for a GCC? But I would like to assure everyone that most of the GCCs have a very robust training program because they are aware of the fact that this is not in your curriculum. They have a very robust training program where the only thing they are looking for is that you have the right skill set, your foundation is good, and you have an open mind and an eagerness to learn. That is what when I speak to my peers who hire for GCCs, these are the things that they always look for people, that you should have an eagerness to learn, you should be open minded, and rest they always say that, once you join us, we'll train you for everything.
How different is this, just putting it into perspective, when we have people who are doing transfer pricing in India, when we have people who are doing the transfer pricing documentation to say that, benchmarking analysis and all of that. And there is a lot of analytics that goes into setting up this. Also, we do a lot of, we do the written filing work, we do the, end-to-end, accounting compliances, MCA compliances and all of this. Now, in all of this framework, how does that GCC factor sets in? How is it that different from all of this?
So I would say it depends really on the service line. When we talk about compliance, you really have to know the tax laws. If you're going into US taxation, you will have to study that because the tax laws are going to be different. But when you talk about accounting, I think accounting is very general. India debit credit is US debit credit. So the fundamentals always remains the same. In fact, also with new Ind AS coming in and IFRS and institute coming up with so many courses, I think a lot of people are already aware about a lot of the differentiating factors between these gaps. And when we talk about others like budgeting, forecasting, I think we have these so many of these things in our curriculum already that it's just a little over the top that you have to see to learn what is differentiating. But I think as chartered accountants, our fundamentals and our basics are very clear. So it's not that you have to learn something from scratch.
You don't have to learn something from scratch. We understand, what are we dealing with? We understand here, and what could be the consequences? We understand here. But when it comes to outsourcing and when it comes to international stuff, what are how do we actually train ourselves for penalties, prosecutions, or repercussions? If I were to use that word, because you will be responsible, right? And how does this responsibility sets in?
I think I basically personally don't deal into this. So I might not be the right person to answer this, but I have a lot of colleagues who deal into it. There are people who actually have their own practice. And actually, I'll give you an example of one of my peers. I know we both graduated together, did chartered accountancy together. He started his own practice. Now he was doing an Indian practice. Suddenly, one fine day, one of the clients said, "Okay, I'm moving to US. Now I want you to do this work." And that's how, with one client, he started and he studied. Then once he got this opportunity that, okay, my client has moved to US, now there will be double taxation and I have to take his US income into account, file his US tax return. He studied that. And that's how, once he studied for one client, he got that expertise. He started pitching more clients, and now he has a whole full-fledged practice of it, along with his Indian practice. So I think it's just going above and beyond. If you are getting into something, a niche area, you just have to study it a little. And now I think we are not in that era where very few people are involved in it. So you have a lot of people who have built their practices this way, where you can connect with them. And if you are at a starting phase, they can help guide you how they set up, or, if you are stuck somewhere, they can help you.
Stuck somewhere and they can help you. How does that happen?
So
you have
an
ecosystem,
like
you
how
have a
you
community.
mentioned, yes. So I would say there are a lot of forums, like now on LinkedIn as well. You have certain groups. There are a lot of places where they are having these networking meetings, especially for people in GCCs, or especially for people who are trying to get work. So there are these small communities that are forming, who are helping each other out.
And how does one become part of it? I mean, through LinkedIn, or
I think I have seen a lot of through LinkedIn, because there are these forums that people post on. There are these small communities on LinkedIn that people go, and then once they start getting bigger, they host networking events. So I think that's how communities are built.
Have you come across any such situation, any such, like for example, when you air here in India on the Indian compliance and all of this, we've got a disciplinary mechanism and XYZ. What happens when you are doing this for an offshore entity and if something goes, different, some errors crop up, or there is some deficiency that happens, maybe for whatever reasons? How does that comes into picture, and how is this taken care from when you do it in a GCC setup?
So I think now everything is online. Like how we have tax filing online. If you have some errors, you get a notice, you submit, a revised return. So in a similar concept, I think all the countries have gone digital now. So if there are any penalties or repercussions or some errors found, it is a similar structure where you get a digital, notice maybe from the IRS or whatever country you are dealing with, and then you respond to it.
Right. And so you don't get summons and all, otherwise you'll have to go and travel to those
Yeah, but
jurisdictions.
yeah, but I have not heard anyone getting summons till now, at least in the GCC community that I am. So most people actually, everyone is doing pretty good that they haven't crossed that line of penalties that they've got summons yet.
So how risky is this? I mean, frankly, if I were to ask this question, because with risk and rewards, of course, they go hand in hand. So how risky do you see this kind of a setup?
I wouldn't
So
say
that
it is
people could,
any different risk than us signing an audit report. It's the same. You take
Wonderful.
accountability.
What role does a CPA play in this entire thing?
So CPA is an equivalent of a chartered accountant here. So I think it's very similar that you hire a CPA in US or you hire a chartered accountant here. But I think if you are not a CPA, you can't sign tax returns in US. So I think that's an additional step if you want to get into taxation. You actually, it's not CPA for signing tax returns, it's enrolled agent. So you have to get an enrolled agent certification done, and a lot of GCCs, I would like to bring up that a lot of GCCs are now, encouraging their employees to take up these certifications, be it CPA or be it enrolled agent exam, so that they are upskilling as well as getting a certificate for it, which helps them to sign.
And you have to, do you have to be there? Keep in mind, say US, for example. So do you have to be there, become an enrolled agent, spend some hours of learnings, or just like we have CP, or how does that,
Yeah. No, everything is online now. So some years back, actually pre-COVID, for CPA exams, you had to go to US and give the CPA exams, or you could have gone to Dubai. There were only 2 locations in the world. But after COVID, they opened up CPA centers in India. So now all Indians can give CPA exams in India. Same with enrolled agent, you have centers in India, so you don't need to travel anywhere.
Right. And now, for example, as you said, there are these communities on LinkedIn and different spaces that you can actually start working on. There are a lot of free freelancers portal that are working on these models. What are the requirements, basic requirements that a chartered accountant will have to set up in India to form a GCC or to build a GCC?
I think you need to have a setup, like Sir mentioned, if you are ISO certified, I think that gives an additional credibility to you, because I think in the digital world, the most scary thing for everyone is confidentiality of data. So I think the basic thing is, how is your cyber security? Because if someone is sending you data digitally, cyber security plays a very key part in this. So I think good network, good cyber security, good controls in place, a good setup, and of course, good knowledge about it is the basic that people are looking for. Because I was talking to someone, I had met someone actually at WOFA who is in a tier 3 city, and I was amazed how much work they are doing for, I think, London and US clients sitting in a tier 3 city. They didn't even travel physically. They just via internet, they connected, they pitched, and they got. And from one client, they are doing like at least 50, 60 clients now. So I think we have so many inspiring stories that it's just the first step you need to take.
I think, yes, absolutely. I totally agree that, and when it comes to infrastructure, I think we in India are the best place, because the cost of setting up, and I was looking at the study, the cost of setting up a infrastructure in terms of having data security, in terms of having the best lease lines, in terms of having spaces, employees, skilled labor, all of this, I think it is one of the most optimized place in the entire globe. So therefore, I think, as you said, tier 3, I think it becomes much more feasible for anyone and everyone. Of course, you need to. There's a huge list of, and as a part of the WTO committee, we shall be, coming out with that kind of a publication very soon in terms of what are the requirements that you will have to set up a GCC, and not only manpower, but it is more on the softest aspects that happens. Now coming to Ruchita, where organizations which are big GCCs and all and CAs would look up to now GCCs. How should they evaluate? There are some which names, it's not a daily thing. They've not come across these names often. So the research and all is one part, but there are some cases where I have heard, in the name of GCCs, they have started defrauding also. In terms of employment opportunities and all. How do you see that different? How should a chartered accountant pursue or approach when joining a GCC?
I think, as you mentioned, research is critical, but also I think now, initially, I would say when I joined a GCC, I didn't even knew its name. I never heard about its name. So, but now that's not the case, because LinkedIn gives you everything. You can see who are the employees of these organizations. Because a lot of people, when they join different GCCs, I've seen this trend now that they talk to people who are already employees to understand what is the work culture. What exactly is the expectation from them? What is the job profile? They just don't rely on the job profile that is given to them for the interview. They want to ask questions. They get clarity that what will be expected of them, what will they gain by entering into a GCC. So I think these are the key factors. Speaking to people about it, doing your basic research, I think all that helps.
So I'm trying to just take this one further, because I've just received a question.
Okay.
Chartered accountants, they someone who's a new setup, suppose this is a new setup coming in, so they would request them probably also take some equity participation or something, some investment and all that, and before it could see the day of light, they are off. It's like a fly by night thing. Yes, there are some cases that have been reported. So what I'm trying to ask you is, just like CA firms, they have a FRN, they have some unique identity that they have, which is provided by some government, some institution. Does GCC has this kind of setup?
So I can talk about US organizations. You can look them up on AICPA. You can see they are on the AICPA website, on the PCOB website. That gives you credibility about how the firm actually is.
Okay.
Is it in existence? Is it actually, if they say they are from a country, how credible are they in that country? Are they listed on the AICPA guide list? So these are some things that there are country specific. Like I gave an example of US, but I'm sure all the countries have something of this sort. In fact, in US, they would also have a state-wise thing. So they also have state accountancy boards where you can check, whether this firm is registered in this state, from when they have registered. So that also gives you a lot of assurance and credibility.
All right. So you say that we check all of this. So these are for entities who are foreign entities and would have set up base in India.
Yeah.
I'm talking. What about the other way around? If Indian entities who have set up base outside, how does that happen? And do you know a typical journey that can happen of a Indian-based entity who would set up base outside?
There are a lot of entities that I've heard about now who are doing this, but I am not an expert on this one. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to share too much light on this, and I don't want to pass on any wrong information.
Yeah, I agree. It's just because it's a question that just came up, and therefore I thought let me bounce it off, because it's more like a informative session that we're having, and I must really appreciate and thank you that you've agreed to these real-time questions as well. Sometimes they just can unsettle you sometimes. So thank you for making that up. And coming to so like in the accounting sector, how do you manage talent development and how do you upskill these professionals so that they are actually relevant in the entirely growing? So I mean, once in a KPO, we've seen that happening. Youth. So typically in those call centers, there is a limit up to which these people come, and then there is no future for them because there's no growth, nothing. How do you see this happening in GCC setup?
So I think that's what the differentiating factor is when we spoke about the IT sector or the accounting sector. Accounting sector by default is a one where you have to upskill yourself. Even with our Indian gaps, you have to keep abreast about what laws are changing, what new accounting standards are changing. And that is the similar thing with a GCC setup, that you need constant upskilling. And as I mentioned earlier, most of the GCCs that I'm aware of invest a lot in training and development. It is not just an onboarding training. Onboarding, yes, we have a very robust training program because we know that people have not studied that curriculum. But once onboarded, we ensure that, continuous development and upskilling is happening. Technically, of course, yes, because that is much needed. But also for talent management, I would say soft skills, as I mentioned, very important for a GCC. How you communicate, and also as GCCs grow, I think leadership skills are also important. So a lot of workshops, webinars, mentorship program, also performance and career coaching programs are there. So I think all these things help. And I think one more point I would like to bring that I forgot to mention earlier. One more opportunity is a lot of GCCs, because it's a seasonal business like our deadline business, any other deadline business. It's a seasonal business. You have your regulatory deadlines. That's when you need more manpower. So you hire secondees. So this is also a very good way to get flavor of the GCCs. When GCCs are hiring secondees for their busy season, and busy season is the time where you learn the most. It is also a lot of pressure like our Indian accounting, but also it's a time where you get to learn a lot. So if you're interested, apply to be an intern or, a secondee in a GCC for that particular busy season. Work for those 4 months, see how you like it. See what value addition you feel. So that I think is a very interesting concept, that enter as a secondee, see what it brings to you, if it works for you, and then take a call.
Fabulous. I think this is very interesting. And this, typically from chartered accountants from, different spaces, different places, remote locations, sometimes tier 2, tier 3 and all. I think this could be a very big opportunity for all of them to learn. Probably also, their talents could be justified here. What are these seasons, Uchida, if you could just tell us for jurisdiction ones? That'll be helpful.
Yes. So for US, since I am into financial services, I'll tell you a little bit about financial services. So financial services, we have a regulatory deadline of April 30. So Jan to
Jan to
April
April.
is a very peak busy season. Then one more
Wow.
busy season we have till June 30, where we have one more regulatory deadline. Coming to tax, you have March deadline, you have March 31 deadline, April 15 deadline. So Jan to April, I would say for audit and tax both is a busy season. Apart from financial services, you have not-for-profit industry, which has different year ends, fiscal year ends. So that is like a technically year-round industry. Different types of organizations would have different fiscal year ends. Commercial has again, if it's a public entity, you have your 331 deadlines for a 1231 year ends, and the ones who are not registered, those commercial entities would have not have really deadlines, but they work year round. So I think Jan to April, I would suggest, if anyone is really interested in the US space, is where the peak time is, where you can join as a secondee in a GCC.
I think, let me tell you, Jan to March maybe is one of the most, it's a relaxing period for most of the chartered accountants. December's are over, GST is done, most of the compliance is done. I think Jan to March, and in that space, if you are giving an opportunity of these GCCs kind of thing, I think could be just marriage made in heaven. And a lot of chartered accountants could come and explore this opportunity. It's time that we really promote them, we invite them, and make this really happen. Interesting. You mentioned about US. Anything about the other jurisdiction that you are aware of?
So I know Australia has a June 30 deadline. So
June, okay.
Yeah, June. So that their busy period is around that time. UK usually also has a 1231. So UK, Luxembourg, those jurisdictions work around the same time frame as US.
So you would need for US, you would need Jan to March, April.
Yeah,
for
Jan to
Australia,
March.
you
So
would need in June time.
Yeah, June, July, because once they
After
close
April,
their
you
year
finish
ends.
up audits and all, so the listed companies, space and everything. So May and June you can come and be a part of this setup in Australia thing. And then
Exactly.
for UK and Luxembourg, all these entities you mentioned is December.
So they also have December year ends, but I'm not very sure about their regulatory deadlines for different industries.
Okay.
So I know that
Okay.
for financial services or the hedge fund space or the, those kind of entities would have the same regulatory deadline as us, but I'm not sure about the other industries, what the commercial deadlines in UK would be.
And what are the typical trainings that, as you mentioned, upskilling is required, and there's a lot of trainings that happen. What are the typical trainings that happen? I mean, use of softwares and XYZ, or there's some technical stuff?
Both. So it's a two-tier thing. It's one is the software that the GCC uses. Obviously, when you enter into a new space, the new software you need to work on, you need to get accentuated to it that, okay, how does this system work? So system is one part of thing, and that is irrespective of a GCC or not GCC. Whenever you enter a new organization, you need to learn their systems. Apart from that, yes, technical skills, like for if it is accounting based, then what are the accounting standards that are applicable for a particular industry that this GCC would work for, if it is real estate accounting or if it's financial services accounting or if it's commercial accounting. So those aspects of it, if it's taxation, then the tax laws, if it's individual, you are catering to individual tax filers or corporations, S corps. So those particular, so every GCC would have divided it niches, and then they give you particular training for the department you are into.
How would you? So these are all compliance-based trainings, I understand. Now, what happens for predictive? For what happens for AI? What happens for dashboards? What happens for value-added services that we were just talking about in the start?
Yes. So similar lines, I think a lot of GCCs I know are investing heavy in technology right now. So a lot of use cases that, okay, since accounting, where could we automate? So automation is one thing, innovation is other thing. So I think for when it comes to AI, it is not more, it is a technical training, but it is also more about interactive training. That what do you think? How can we make this better? What can we innovate? If we already have a financial budgeting tool, what value addition do you think we can do? So it is how if we can bring in more efficiency, more standardization, more automation and innovation.
Would you suggest some set of tools that are being used, as you said, for taxation, for accounting, and all this? What are the general tools that are softwares that are being used in this industry?
I know Go system is used, CCH, ProFX engagement, Alteryx is used for AI. So I think these are some of the tools that I am
QuickBooks
aware
and
a lot
all?
of. Yeah, QuickBooks for
QuickBooks.
accounting, ERD for real estate accounting.
Okay. Tax Power, some Tax Pro, some I don't know, some for
Yes, so different
compliances.
GCCs are using different tax software. So tax is like a very wild animal. A lot of GCCs I've heard everyone is using, and a lot of GCCs are using their in-house tax softwares also. They are building up
is
their
it?
own. Yeah, a lot of people are investing in their own in-house softwares also now.
Okay, so these are not off-the-shelf software. So
There are off the
typically.
shelf also available, but a lot of GCCs when they grow, they want to invest and build something of their own, which is more suitable for them. But also SAP, I think, yeah, is all the lot of GCCs I've heard are implementing SAP as their system for budgeting, forecasting, the data analysis.
That is interesting. So we spoke about these softwares. We spoke about how do these trainings and all happen. Now, very as I said, growth opportunities. How do you see growth opportunities in these GCCs for chartered accountants? To what extent do they come up?
So I would say two-pronged approach here. Are we talking about taking work from GCCs as freelancers, setting up GCCs, or growing when you join as an employee in a GCC?
So that is one good part, the entrepreneurship that can happen. Of course, when
Yeah.
you learn and you set up a fair and you can grow up. No, suppose if you are working in the GCC, you joined in as an employee, and how do you grow up, and what are the what is this entire cycle looks like in a GCC?
Okay, I
Do
would
you
say
get
it's very
opportunity to go
similar.
and work in offshore opportunities and all?
Yes, of course. There is, I think, and that also is a very, so I would say, lot sometimes that is the, shining factor for people. But that shouldn't be the only factor when you're thinking about your career in a GCC. That, yes, you get to travel abroad, you get to meet people and, understand their culture. And that's what connects you and you build a connection. So when you get these secondment opportunities in a GCC to travel to that country where you are working with, maybe to meet the client or if it's a big team, you are going there to meet your engagement team and work collaboratively with them at the client space. I think that brings a lot of perspective, value addition, and a very good experience. And that also helps you. I think sometimes it's not just about technical in your soft skills, communication skills, and as Sanjeev Singhal sir had mentioned, collaboration. When you
Yeah.
meet people, when you network with them, you connect with them, the collaboration goes to another level.
True. I think we in India are one of the best people to collaborate because we understand cultures very strongly. We understand, we appreciate, and we try and adopt that as well, rather than impose our on them. And it's a very sophisticated kind of environment that we create. So I think these are all the must-haves to be a successful GCC. And as you
Exactly.
mentioned, if you can, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying that sometimes it's not only about us understanding their culture. What I have seen over the past 14 years is that they want to understand our culture. Like, I'll tell you, there are webinars held where US people want to understand about the culture in India. Okay, what is the differentiating factor? So there is so much that sometimes we always make it sound like, okay, we have to adapt, we have to understand them. No, they are as eager to understand our culture and us and how we function.
Oh, that's good to know. And so there are a lot of questions around, and while I was just thinking about this, imagine if different countries, different jurisdictions. So does one person fits all, or you need a specialized team now for every jurisdiction?
I would say specialization takes its toll. You definitely cannot be you can be the jack of all trades, and but then you don't want to end up as master of none. So specialization is needed. I would say you start with one, then develop a team where, because every country has so many nuances that it's sometimes difficult for one person to, and you don't want to, miss anything. You don't want to give an answer to a client which is not appropriate just because you got confused between two jurisdictions. Like even talking about US or UK, not only two countries but within a country there are so many different state laws that are applicable. So I think that is also important, how you build and grow a specialized team.
A very interesting question just came up, and while you was speaking about this is a very good point that you just mentioned, Ruchita. Maybe if you could elaborate a little more on specialization, mastering, and all of this. Because see, accounting is the same as you said. It's a debit credits everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a same team, so if Arpit Kabra is working, for example, for US, I can do it for the England, for the Londons, for the Luxembourgs, for the Irelands, for the Canadas and Australias, everything, right? So, how does this specialization then matters?
So I think
It's about
accounting,
tax.
yeah, I think it's more about tax. Accounting is accounting. So I think accounting, the fundamentals will not change. Accounting doesn't have so many state-wise rules that, oh, the debit will change or the credit will change. No. But when you go to specializations like tax or financial reporting or compliance-based things, I think this is what I mentioned was more about the compliance aspect of it.
Okay.
That when you go to compliance, there are so many nuances that the specialization is needed. You have to be on top of it.
Tell me, can a COP holder can come and work for you and as a secondee in these 3-4 months?
Yes.
As
a secondee, yes.
No, if they want to, and if if so, suppose do you have a COP? I mean, while you're working with, do you sign?
No,
Do
because
you
I
test
am
now?
no, because I am in the employment, so I have not applied for a COP.
And suppose if you rise up to the ranks, and which I believe you should very soon, but then you become a CEO kind of thing, or do you have partners in GCCs, or what is the structure like?
Yes. So now a lot of GCCs I know have already given the partners title. So I think but along with the partnership also comes the aspect of the signing of the attestation.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
also, so till I'm an employee, when I'm not signing, I don't need to be a CPA. I am an associate director right now in a firm. I do my audits, but the partner signs it. So I don't, when
Okay.
I'm not signing, I don't need a CPA certification. But when I want to become a partner, a CPA becomes essential, because if I'm signing a US attestation, I need to hold a CPA license.
As a CA, are you attesting? Can you attest rather any international financial statements?
No.
You have you come across or you know,
So
US?
there
I'm
are,
sure you're not.
no, US, I have not. I know some countries that allow for it, but I'm not very
Yes.
confident on it. Some
Then
countries
you are
do
right.
allow it. Yeah, because there
Yeah.
are some countries which allow it. There are some boards which have not collaborated or don't have a, I would say, memorandum with ICAI yet. So I think those countries, we still need to get their certification in order to sign an attestation for their country. But there are a lot of countries with, I think the ICAI already has a memorandum of understanding that a CA certificate is good enough for you to attest.
And apart from the MOU MRA, there are some jurisdictions just for FII types, you know, where a Indian chartered accountant can attest those financial statements, and they are acceptable by the regulatory authorities there as well. Of course, US is not in that space. Do you see, the income tax bill, any impact of this new income tax bill on GCCs? Because I think they've spoken about some regime for GCC. Have you evaluated or so that?
Not yet. Right now, I think the income tax bill, as well as a lot of that Trump's decisions are coming in. Everyone is talking about what is going to be the impact. So I think we are all still evaluating all these things that are happening around us in the
Yeah, I'm
international
sure
space.
because it's also a very pretty hectic season and you've taken out time. I must really thank you for that because, you know, as you mentioned, is Jan to April and you are in part of between then. So I'm sure
Yes.
you will take some time while the bill
Yes.
sees the day of light and then, you
Yeah.
know, then you see evaluation. So someone has just asked if we have to do all things through LinkedIn or our own connects, then please let me know why we need to attend this Global Udan webinar series. Now, you know, people are different, you know, in different spaces, they're asking different questions. My friend,
No, but it's a
just to
very
address
valid
this,
question.
yeah, and therefore, you know, you first answer this question.
Yeah, and
Why
you
Global
take,
Udan
yeah,
webinar
you can
series, and then
add to it. Yes, definitely. So I think these are not the only things, and these webinars, I think every one of us has the skill set, but how you channelize those skill set, how you take it in the right direction, is what these webinars are about. They give you insights. I think we all, when we entered the GCC space, we didn't have much idea. We learned through our experience. And I think that is what we are here to share, that how you can benefit from those experience, whether it's my experience or Sanjeev Singhal sir's experience or Arpit's experience as he's exploring this space, talking to a lot of people, networking with these people, understanding what is their requirements. I think this is the value addition that you will get from these seminars and from what this committee is trying to create. Over to you, Arpit.
So I believe, you know, if you want to know about Sri Ram or Sita ji, I think, you know, very easy, you can open up a Ramayana and start reading it, you know, but you attend some seminars, you attend some programs, that is where you get an insight, that is where an interest built up, that is where a direction is given, and that is where you start approaching and you get a breakthrough. So Global Udan webinar series is just that kind of a breakthrough. It is a modem, it is a bridge, it is a attempt so that, you know, we bring in experts like you give them a direction, you tell them, you know, so everyone is in the dark. Okay, all of us know there are LinkedIn, all of us know there are AI tools, but do you know how to use them properly? So prompt engineering is a science, you know, but until unless you have a guide, until unless you have a mentor, until unless you have someone to show you the path, I think there's no sense in, you know, knowing everything and yet not able to pull off anything. So I'm sure, you know, and there are a lot of case studies, Ruchita, I must tell you, as you mentioned in the start, with webinar series like these, with webinar series like Niryat series that we had earlier, you know, a lot of people have got breakthroughs through internationally and nationally as well. And that is how breakthroughs actually happen. You know, I'm sure all of them know everything here and there, but it is always this one, if I were to say that X factor that brings in through experts like you, I think, you know, then, you know, things really start working and revolving. Now, for example, secondees, not many people are aware about this. Now, you brought this up. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people, and we would come up with a mechanism wherein we can ask people to invite, and we could, supply these to, GCC, say that, if you want secondaries, you can reach out to them, or through some of the other methods. Probably you will see a lot of people already hitting your LinkedIn now to see that, they want to apply for like secondaries and all of this. So this is how it works. This is how the breakthrough comes in. Uh, um, do you see CA firms becoming part of GCCs, or is it an individual who become a part of GCC?
I think the collaboration is starting to develop, where, as you mentioned, the collaboration, one such collaboration is already as secondment. Like we already collaborate with a lot of CA firms where, we hire their people for Jan to March. So that one step of collaboration is already initiated. But apart from that also, I think wherever we need help, the collaboration is already there. It is like how we learn from each other.
Super. Can you directly apply to for internship or a secondary to US firms, or do you do it in GCC, so their counterparts in India? How does that happen?
Yeah, so I think the secondment, how I know works is that where the GCCs that are set up in India, they usually hire these secondees. But also, this is not only India. I know that there are GCCs who hire interns from South Africa or Zimbabwe also during this period. So it's not they only hire from here. So there's a big market for this.
Wonderful. Do GCCs focus on leadership and soft skill development? I mean,
A lot.
Do they? How's
A
that?
lot.
Because
So, as I told you, when I joined, we were like a 20 people firm. I was the IT, I was everything. We didn't have a good structure because that's how the GCC space was back then for small GCC setups. We had those big fours who were big setups back then, but not the small setups who started to join. So, when I joined, I was only doing technical things. What is my accounting, my auditing, my taxation. Over the period, as you grow, GCCs have now started focusing on the leadership skills, on the soft skills. Because as you grow, your teams are growing, you need to have these have become very necessity skills. How to have tough conversations, have to guide your people, how you train better. You might be amazing at your work, but if you don't know how to train people, you can only grow to a certain level. So that's where we start training people, that but how do you train well? When you start after a certain point, your technical starts taking a back step, because you have conquered that, you've become a master of that. Now when you want to go to leadership skills, we had a leadership launchpad program where we had executive presence taught to us. What does executive presence entail? Time management. So a lot of GCCs I know have focused programs for leadership, and that is why I say that growth in a GCC is, sky is the limit. There are so many opportunities, so many verticals, and so many places. It is not just us. I have known people who have done accounting and auditing all their life, but now are at a India leader level. Now they are not doing client service work, but they have grown to those levels over the years, because now they have a holistic picture how to set up a GCC, how to run operations in India, which was not their core. But over the period, with training, they've developed those skills and are sitting at those leadership executive levels now.
What is a typical schedule? I mean, is it a very demanding kind of a schedule for a GCC employee? I mean, is the work-life balance there, or how is it very different than the current Indian CA firm setup?
I would say it is no different. See, work-life balance, we have had multiple, I think, sessions on it. Work-life balance is different for everyone. But with accounting industry, we are in a deadline-based world where when you have a deadline, it is going to get hectic. There is no out of it. You will have to deliver. Sometimes the client, you have a 331 deadline, but a client will give you data on 20th of March, but you will have to make it work. When we have those tax deadlines in India, July, sometimes the client will give you data late, but you have to get it done. So I think regulatory deadlines, at times the busy period is always busy, but apart from that, like for my personal experience, I would say those 4 months are crucial for me. That's my busy season. The rest 8 months, I would say I have amazing work life balance, and that's why I could survive in this industry. I've stayed so long, and as a working woman and a working mother, I would say it is amazing to have that work life balance where I know I can give my kid that time, I can give my company that time, also advance my career at the same time.
Good point that you highlighted. Do you have work from home opportunities, and for women chartered accountants especially, do you have part time, or do you have so do GCCs promote all of that? I mean, of course, secondaries is one part, but getting women chartered accountants who are not in full time, as active, but these 4 months if they could bring out or something, or do you have part work from home opportunities?
We have a hybrid working model. I think after
Okay.
COVID, before COVID, no one knew about this. Everyone was like, okay, the office is the space where you go and work. But I think work from home has become a part of our lives. But I think what GCCs I'm seeing is it's not complete work from home. Because if you want to grow, you want to instill a culture, you want to actually train people, you want them to be together. That's how you get your collaboration in place. That's how you build the team spirit. So I think for growth, remote working is not as conducive, but yeah, you need a balance. You can't have everyone coming every day, but there has to be a balance. So I will say yes, we have hybrid working models. We have part-time opportunities as well. After I delivered, I was on part-time for 5 years in my organization because I wanted that time off, that initial years to give to my kid. Once I thought that I'm ready to come back full time, I changed gears. I'm back full time now.
That's interesting. That's good to know. There's another question now. How do seniors play a role in GCCs? Do they
How
have
does
so?
senior-
I think the question is pretty oriented towards if a senior chartered accountant who's maybe retired or someone, and if he wants to come and play a role in GCCs, does that have space?
Of course, I would say, because I think you might not have worked in a GCC space, but since you have worked so long, you have a ton of experience, a ton of value addition that you could bring to a GCC about how to grow a team. Because in your years of experience, you definitely would have grown a team, trained them, built a culture. So a lot of new setups are coming into India now, and I think they are all looking for these people, who have a ton of experience, who could give a stability, give a foundation to their growth in India.
So there is no such right age to enter into a GCC or set up a GCC. It could be any time.
Yeah, it could be any time, but I have seen that freshers who've gone, who have done considerably well. But of course, any industry, if you join as a fresher and grow through it, obviously you have a bigger, quicker trajectory. Whereas, if you join afterwards, you might have a slower growth, but I know everyone will get there. But then you bring different value additions. You might not come from a work perspective, you might come from a different perspective. And there are a lot of people I see who are changing industries mid of their career now, that I have worked in an Indian industry now, but now I want to move trajectory. And I see that it's not difficult to pick up. They, 3 months into the system, they are all set.
We can understand the impact because when you say 331, now that's a different space of different type of saying a date.
Yeah.
It is
It's
NMDD.
31st March, yeah.
31st
But see,
March.
that's
I
how
think
you.
someone gave a question and I said ki 331 regulation nahi hai. It is the date she's mentioning. Now that is the
Yeah.
impact of working in a different jurisdiction that has, it becomes a normal
It
language.
becomes a
part of-
normal terms that you use. So sorry for that if I
Good.
confused anyone.
Hani, so actually, is this a regulation that they're talking about 331? There is that. What? But
Nothing
that's a good
technical,
thing. So
guys.
you said, yeah. No, but then the best part is people are listening to you, and that's more. They're all attentive. There's some super questions actually. I don't know how do I take it. There's so many of them. Coming to. So we spoke about different foreign jurisdiction. We spoke about different deadlines. And do you fathom? Do you see a difference between a GCC which is based out of say in India versus any other South Asian countries? I mean, do you see Vietnam doing very well?
I
Do
see
you
Philippines, a lot of
Philippines doing very
GCCs
well?
there as well. And not to, I wouldn't want to put down anyone, but from what I have heard, the feedback of people that have worked with both the GCCs, India is always rated way higher than any other South Asian country.
Wonderful. That's good to know. That's an amazing thing to know, actually. Right. And how do you see the future for this? In the next 5 years, do you see really GCCs picking up, or do you see this is already exhausted as a market?
No, I think GCCs are just picking up. There were, I think, very few some years back. Now they are growing. I think I was reading some article and it said we have around 1,700 GCCs right now. But at the end of by 2024, there was a projection that it will go to around 2,500. And there is, I think, now what I see, very few people were interested in setting up shop in India, but now they have FOMO. Oh my God, my competitors are in India and I'm not. So now everyone is in a rush to come to India because they have seen the growth that the India has given to their structure, the quality of work that has come, and how much value addition Indians have done to their business.
So there's a question on any guidance note or material issued by the institute to gain knowledge and how to educate yourself about GCC concept and understanding technicals about global jurisdiction. I must really congratulate the vision that the ICI has. The council has already worked on this, and Ruchita, you would be happy to know. And I would request our secretary, the chairman of this committee, Abhay sir, is also here. Abhay sir, I would request you if you can throw some light on, what is the institute doing in terms of how can one become one adopt GCC, and how can one start working on GCCs? And also there is a list of to-do items that we've received today, courtesy Ruchita madam. I think she's given some wonderful insights on what all things are happening. Probably, we can build up on that as well. Abhay sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arpit. I think excellent moderation, I must say. And this is the first, I would say, the inaugural session, an inaugural Global Udan Series webinar. But I think the beginning is tremendous with I would say the interaction with the speaker Ruchita, with the response and the answers, the experience she possesses, I believe is tremendous. And members, participants that I am seeing in the group, there's so many questions which are flowing in. I think we've thought of it weekly, but I believe we have to do it twice a week. There also would be less for GCC. That is the opportunity members are looking at. And, in terms of course, the initiative, like you have covered, some part, Ruchita, of course, has covered some part, but I would tell certainly with the entire team of WTO, starting with Monica, she's there. She has so much experience and been working hands on hand with the team together. See, the certificate course was one very important initiative which we started 1.5 years back. And this was specifically to get opportunity outsourcing, services from US market. And now we are planning to do it for other jurisdictions. We've planned for UK, we've planned for Canada, we've planned for Australia, New Zealand, other jurisdictions. And I believe this is one certificate course from the committee which we have initiated, and we have got excellent response. Members want to do it. Members are gaining practical experiences. And not just this, I'll add on to what we have initiated. Any member who have cleared, we have almost 800 such members who have participated, almost 600 plus members who have cleared, and one batch is running. Now, this US market, we've thought of doing a workshop and hands-on training. The flyer has already been released, finalized today. We are doing a hands-on training on our Center of Excellence. 3 days, we'll bring all our members with a batch of 60 to 80 or maybe even 100 members, and we'll only discuss the practical aspects. If I talk about the laws, regulations, we talk about payroll accounting, we talk about filing of returns, we talk about accounting, case studies, we call experts. They would give hands-on training, complete workshop, learning for members, and they would certainly be benefited in terms of how we can get opportunities, because it was not just having a certificate course, but ensuring that those who have cleared should continue doing hands-on training so that any opportunity coming in any month, any day, they are ready with that opportunity and they can promote themselves. They can showcase themselves that, yes, these are the areas which we have learned. We are now working and we are ready for it. So this is one very important aspect. Language, just to share with you, language has always been a bar for Indians. We have been learning our languages, regional languages, but other languages, we have already had a limitation. But starting 7 such languages course from this directorate, I think you cannot imagine, especially Japanese, German, Spanish, French, every language, there is tremendous response. So that we are ensuring the members to know another language, not just English, Hindi or other regional, but any other language of their interest. And, once they learn, they reach the country, they're able to communicate, they're able to get opportunities by communicating in other languages also. So that is one area where members, students are getting this benefit. And like this Global Udan series, we have a lot of publication now we have listed down. Of course, one publication released this year was outsourcing activities, services, opportunities, which we are looking at from the US market. And then there are other opportunities which we already have publications. Now we are also coming with certain more publications, which I'm sure members would be benefited. And lastly, I think, and most important, is the portal. I'm not sure how many of you are aware and who are participating today. Ruchita, we have launched a portal in WOFA that was 2nd of February 2025. It's been 2 months now. The portal is apo.ici.org. Now, this is a platform which we are giving to our members, the Indian firms, small, medium practitioners, to come and register at the portal. We are asking the accounting firms to register at the portal, and we are giving a platform to both these connect and creating opportunities among themselves. Of course, an Indian firm or an accounting firm out of India may not be able to see or know each other, but they can pick up the profile once they log in, they register, they'll be able to see the profile of Indian firms, and they can pick up those Indian firms, discuss with them, and create opportunities among themselves. So almost 200 plus profiles, Indian firms already registered, completed the process. Of course, we have an approval process, which we'll be doing. And we have certain accounting firms already registered, but we have to do authentication, investigation, and process that these are genuine accounting firms and can give work to Indian firms where they can look up to these global capability centers, or I would say initially used to call it as back offices. Now it's GCC, which is called. So I think there we are really working hard. In fact, we had discussion with accounting firms also. We have circulated this to our ICI chapters, representative offices, telling them that this portal has been launched. Wherever they have the programs, I think they have to ensure that this is being communicated to all the members. So this was it, Arpit, from my side. I think you wanted me to speak. I've taken a lot of time because, of course, Ruchita is being here and we have a time till 5 o'clock. But if you speak about GCC, there's no limit in terms of time. Members just yes. Yeah. So I'm sure with the directorate, with the team of council and office, we'll be able to do a lot of such programs going forward. And I think we'll have more opportunities and learning for all of us to have or to create opportunities for members, participants going forward. So thank you very much, Arpit, and over to you.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. I think Global Udan is something, the entire intention is, we bring about discussions with different jurisdictions. So we started, of course, from India perspective, but now we'll have each and every jurisdiction specific discussions that we'll have. And, setting up the platform is what we wanted to do in this first inaugural series. Monica, you have something to add on, I think, so there are a lot of things, language courses, certification courses, a portal, some basic things, of course, here. But, sir, we just got to know another requirement. Most of these GCCs need temporary staffing as well, secondees. Now, if we could create one portal wherein people could apply, send us resumes, and the GCCs could pick up from there, I think that would be a very big. So that bridge could become as a part of that portal. I think we could do something fabulous there as well. Monica, you have to add anything.
Yes. For this, I can just say that the passed out members who have already done us US course, they already have the skill set which is required. Like they have the knowledge of US taxations, the payroll managements, and the other areas. So they can be a good resource for these GCCs, for Ruchita, your company, and others. And ICA would like to collaborate on this area so that once they get the skill set, they know where they need to apply for, or we can have that pool coming up. Also, we are planning up for an event at Delhi and Mumbai for GCCs soon in the coming quarters. So that also we look forward. And for the courses, we are currently doing it for US. We are planning it for UK, Australia, and Canada, as Sir has told. So we, as a directorate, are working towards the global Udan of our members so that they can achieve their dreams and they can take the international clients. We also understand getting the clients as we are getting the queries also. from the batches which we are doing, how to get the first client. And Ruchita has already given us the link, and networking is the key. So I hope this webinar altogether has given you the good insights on the working of the GCCs, the regulatory regimes, the terms used by Sanjeev Sanghi ji, compliance to reliance, which is very much useful, which we need to take care of, because when we are dealing with the international clients, it's always the trust. First is the trust and the culture. If we know the culture, even if we go outside, if we see an Indian, we get attached to them. So if they speak Hindi, so that's why this foreign language has been taken care of. So this is
Ruchita, what is your take, Ruchita, on this? You know, when you have ability to talk in this foreign language, does it help?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'll tell you my personal experience. The first time I traveled to US, I was asked a question, "Oh my God, you speak such fine English." And I'm like, "Yeah, of
Wow.
course." So there at that point of time, years back, people had this perception that, oh, Indians might not be able to converse in English. But over the period, they've realized that no, we can converse in English. Our grammar is good. We are amazing at conversations. So I think over the years, this perception of India has changed. So adding English, of course, because now we have English medium schools. English is almost one of the languages all of us have studied. But apart from that, I think Spanish, German, the courses that institute is, providing will be such a value addition because it is so much comfort. Also, I would say that there are times our clients have given us their documents which are in French, and we had to go somewhere to get it translated and all that. So when you have these skill sets inbuilt in your own team, that would be so much of a value addition.
It's an interesting question that has just cropped up. If I want to set up a GCC and I want to hire people, I want to hire manpower, what are the pay scales that we should be offering them? Well, what are the accepted pay scales for freshers to get into GCCs?
Okay, not to quote any GCCs, but to give a really borderline thing about what the industry trend is going on. What I've seen is, I think right now, freshers are getting paid around 10 lakhs or so.
All right.
Fresh out of campus.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I think that's pretty decent, and there is a super learning opportunity, growth opportunity that GCCs provide. Do you see a major role of GCCs that would play in Indian context in terms of when you drive AI initiatives, when you drive value-added initiatives, when you do dashboardings for international? How do you see this happening for Indian context, Indian perspective?
I think it's the same. I think just that I think the GCC sector is more focusing, but I see a lot of the Indian sectors are actually now started focusing on the AI. So I think they were one step ahead, I would say, of us on focusing on technology. But I think it is going to be applicable because as mentioned, global accounting is global. So I think whatever is applicable and whatever innovations or AI is worked upon in the GCC sector could be very easily translated into the Indian sector to make it more efficient, more effective, and more automation. But also, I also want to mention about what Monica just said about the talent pool having the requisite skill set. I think the that would be amazing because what I see a lot of GCC struggling right now with talent acquisition is they don't know where to look out for those people that they want to hire. Who are the ones who don't, have those US taxation skill sets, who have those certifications. So I think if the institute comes up with such a portal or creates a pool, I think the GCC's wagon would jump onto it.
We've got an international audience also in this webinar, and let me welcome all of them. They attend because they're part of the ICI ecosystem. See, Ruchita, I think very important aspect that you just mentioned is creating that pool of talent. Let me then therefore highlight this. This year, the president and the vice president, under their leadership, with Abhay Bhai at the helm of affairs in WTO, Sanjeev Singhal ji and all. I think there is a huge effort and attempt to create a large talent pool which is ready to work for GCCs. And there are going to be multiple such initiatives, multiple such batches, and a lot of things that are being done. And a special drive is being carried out to ensure that we create chartered accountants, world-class chartered accountants, undoubtedly, and they would they would be just delivering right from the word go for different jurisdictions as well, including language. That is what this committee is towards gearing up towards, and already a lot of plans have been there. To ask you, you've talked about automation, AI. How much do you see AI really playing a role in GCCs? I mean, in your day-to-day life. So, and understand the perspective that I'm putting in. Automation is one thing, AI is another thing. So, how do you use? So, automation, I'm sure you must be using, or
Yep.
you can differ by this. But whether AI really is making a importance or an impact in the workings of GCCs.
Not even going to the technical aspect of it, a very basic thing, like how I mentioned communication. Some time back it was a hindrance where if you're not confident in how you send out an email, now you have chat gpt. You put in thing, give me a refined version of it. That makes your communication enhancement so much clear. It gives a
Right.
very polished email. Your message to your counterpart or to your client sitting in a different country is much more refined, much more clearer. So small things like this right now are helping people with AI. This was a very small example, but
Yeah.
again, with AI, a lot of, I would say, innovations, how chartered accountants can move away from the mundane task and focus on more critical matters. I think that is where AI will help chartered accountants.
Very simple, application could be, when you talk about different languages, there are LLMs, large language models now inbuilt into AI engines, into the chat GPTs of the world. Um, your client may be talking in whatever language, maybe writing in whatever language. The LLM would do a fantastic job of converting it real time, and whatever you say and you deliver would be delivered in his language, in the language that is coming. I think that is the powerful use of AI in this
Yes.
GCC setup. That collaboration becomes so effective. It's as if that person maybe in China would understand I'm talking to someone who's actually a Chinese. So that becomes
Exactly.
so seamless. Right. And taking further, uh, do you what are the other is US a market which is already exhausted, or how do you reach out to these CPA firms in US for collaboration? You said they are welcoming now. What are the initial conversations that you could have to partner with them and become a GCC? And I'm just asking this more like from an academic perspective, because see, these are tricks of trade. I'm sure everyone has their own set of trade tricks, but just as an academic question, if someone wants to, maybe all of us together combine, we set up a GCC, decide, and then we go and what are the initial conversations that you have with the US CPA firms? And is that state driven again, or do you do it random?
No, it's random. So I know, I would say one of my friends who actually set up a GCC in India. They got this opportunity. That person was an employee of a GCC. He got the technical expertise, he had the soft skills, he had the leadership qualities. While working for a GCC, through an interaction, he met someone of a different firm, and that firm had no setup in India. And while during that networking event, and this all happened in a networking event, it was not through a headhunter or anyone. In a networking event, he pitched the idea that a lot of CPA firms are in India. Aren't you feeling left out? Don't you want to set up and take the benefit out of it? And that person got, he's like, yeah, actually, why not? But he's like, I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any connection to India. I didn't know anyone in that space, so I didn't know who to reach out, and that's why we never thought of it. And he's like, I'm here. I can help you set up. And that's just one networking event, and that person is an India leader. He set up the entire GCC. So I think the basic thing is first figure out the need of that person, understand their need, show your expertise, and that's how build a connection, and then you take it up.
भगवान मंदिर में ही मिलते हैं वैसे ही if you want to get these kind of breakthroughs, these kind of people, you want to be lucky enough, you have to attend these sessions, just like Global Udan, other webinars, other seminars where like-minded people. Actually, that is where you find if you really want those like set of people, these are the setups, these are the seminars, and networking, of course, becomes key. It just doesn't end with saying hi, hello, or giving a smile, but maybe having that one important conversation and giving your insights. I mean, you need to wear it on your sleeve to say that, look, this is what we want to do. Let me know if anyone is interested, right? Super. So I think that sums up. And there are a lot of questions, Ruchita. I'm sure people would want to know, but I think time is of essence. We are already at 5, but yes, it's been a good conversation. So, any closing remarks that you want to have before we ask Abhay sir to and Monica to give their closing remarks? But thanks, Ruchita, once again. I think it has been a very, very interesting, and you've really you've not held anything, and you've just given the best of information to all of us. So I appreciate that, and that too in this very, very tough time of the hectic, as you say, 31-3 season. So Ruchita, your closing remarks for this.
Thank you. I think this was a wonderful session, but I have to tell the audience one thing. This is my first time doing a webinar. So I was really nervous. So thank you, Arpit, for making me comfortable. I didn't feel that, oh, this is a big audience, this I'm doing for a first time, because I do seminars for the company and, it's a crowd that I know. But when you don't know and you're going to an unknown audience, obviously you have your nervousness and anxiety. So thanks for being a wonderful moderator and navigating through the entire seminar. I think a lot of people had these questions and the questions were really nice, but I would also, and the initiatives taken by the institute are amazing and will be very helpful. The portal thing which they launched, I think is very good. I would request everyone to go and register and make the optimum use of it, but also the GCC seminars that Monica mentioned you are going to have. I think those are the events where you will meet people and build your own community. And once you build that community will no longer only be in LinkedIn. It'll be on your phone. It'll be with you. So that's how you build a community. That's it from my end. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any major challenges, Ruchita, do you see in operating of GCCs now? Apart from the, of course, talent pool that you said, any big major challenge in terms of tax regime, in terms of their recognition, in terms of special, some schemes that we should have.
No, not from that perspective, but I would say the challenges, or I wouldn't even put it as challenges, but the differentiating factors would be that your work timings might be different. You won't operate in a 9 to 6. So that has its pros and cons. Like, because you are working for US clients, your meetings with clients will be in the evening. So you might not be able to have dinner with your family every day, but you will definitely have breakfast with your family every day. Because your morning time is free for your errands to spend with your family. So pros and cons, I would say, of working in a GCC factor, but nothing that is too challenging. And especially as chartered accountants, I think once you qualify, you have already gone through that rigorous examination that nothing else seems that much challenging to you now.
I think it's good to avoid dinners after sunsets. So, it is a good way to actually
be healthy.
That. Yeah. All right, super. Monica, you want to say something? Initiatives that you're driving, how do you popularize them? How do you reach out to them? And how do these people reach out to you?
See, we started up the courses or the initiative, the major initiative which we got popularized in the last 1 year is our certificate course, which we have evolved over a period of time. And now the condition is like once we announce the batches, we get it full.
Yeah.
So people are interested to explore more opportunities compared to their traditional practices. And the questions which we are getting on the webinar is like, along with the traditional practice, can we go for the international clients also? I think here US, because of the timing gap, which she said breakfast and dinner, there initially, yes, you can do your domestic clients in a daytime, and then maybe a later evening you can start with your international clients. So that is also one of the plus point which we Indians have. So
that certificate course, Monica, is a virtual course?
It's a virtual course, 20 days, 3 hours per day.
Wonderful.
And
so if they want to really, they want to have it focused for a particular jurisdiction, like Abhay says from Bhopal, say Sikar, say Jaipur, say HL Karanji, Sangli, Akola, Amravati.
People are attending.
South.
Even
How
we are
do they reach
getting
out? How do they
audience. We are getting it from US also.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We are getting people. Even some of our faculties are from US who are actually practically doing
Oh,
those.
is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is how we have
How many
evolved.
people do you need in this certificate?
100 to 100 is the batch
So
size.
friends, if you are from whoever you are, wherever you are, as a member of ICI, if you find out 100 people of you are together, write to the chairman, the secretary of this committee, tell them that we need a course. A course will be launched for you, and then you could have those 100 people registered, and you can have your own community built up there. And Abhay sir, what if these 100 people come together? One GCC is ready, and the dream of Modi ji of large big Indian firm is already set into motion. So I think it could be a breakthrough event. But yes, that's good to know, Monica. Abhay sir, your closing
Yeah,
remarks.
absolutely. No, I think Arpit, you rightly said, and I'll tell you the experiences. We have 7th batch which is going on, and we have we've created this WhatsApp group of last 6 batches also. And there's so much exchange of messages, opportunities, availability of resources. People want to know if there's any opportunity. People are sharing opportunities. So there's a lot of exchange of messages, which really helps the participants who have done this course. And of course, we have the 7th batch also. We have almost touched 200 such members, 180, 200 members who are now attending. So numbers each time whenever it's announced, like Monica said, that it's get full quickly, and members are interested. And like members are interested in other jurisdiction, we are planning to have it very soon. And a lot of things have shared by Ruchita, and I think truly appreciate. So whatever you had it in mind, whatever your experiences for years, I think you've shared with all of us, and we have much appreciated by every participant wherever who have responded in the group. They're so happy, and they're actually expecting the directorate to have more and more such programs, which I'm sure we'll have it, not restricted to just the beginning. This is just a beginning, and we'll have another program lined up on 11th. Then we have it on 18th. Then we have 25th. So it's a weekly program, and every month we'll have an expert minimum on GCC, and like others, locations also will be catering. Tier 2 cities also will be reaching out, having programs, webinars. We'll have seminars, workshops on GCCs, and ensuring that small, medium practitioners get the opportunity of creating their own GCC, just not starting with 1 or 2 or 3, but at least starting with 20, 30, 40 such numbers. And I think that portal which we have thought, we can also create employment opportunities for members who have done this course or who wants to actually join a GCC. I'm sure we can connect accounting firms, other GCCs who can register, and then can pick up good profile and create opportunities. So next 11th, we have a very important session, which is again a global UDAN, global trade revolution and India's trade policy, the role of chartered accountants. So this is our next webinar, which is there on 11th. And we have workshops, like I already shared, we have planned in month of May, and then other sessions we'll be organizing. And we have one last, I think, was Vijay Gupta ji, who was joined from Canada, Vancouver. Like Arpit mentioned, that we have members from abroad also, and there could be timing difference, but we have members who have joined. So thank you so much, all the participants who have joined. And I believe, like I said, other jurisdiction we are starting. Anybody interested could help us, being faculty, if they are expert in any of such areas in other jurisdictions. We'll certainly would be happy to take your services wherever we can, because we're all under one umbrella, our alma mater, the ICI, and I'm sure everybody wants, to reach out to members, create opportunity, and serve our profession, our ICI. So thank you so much, all the participants. Thank you, Ruchita. Thank you, Arpit. As always been so prompt, active, and energizing in keeping the environment good. And your services will much be needed in future also. And make sure you are available for other GCC sessions also. And whenever required, webinar or physical programs, we'll certainly like you to be part of this. Thank you so much. And thanks to Monica and entire team from the Directorate for having this wonderful session. And we are at 5:03 time, and we are able to finish. Of course, there's still, if there are any questions, members can send.
Actually.
Yes, please send to us. We'll try to share it with Ruchita, and we'll get some response. We'll share to members. Thank you so much. And of course, this recording is available at the ICI TV, which is always at every session. We'll have the recording available for members. so they can, if anybody who's missed or have joined in between, can see the recording. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Abhay sir. And so, a parting remarks to all of you. You can follow us all. You can follow the directorate, of course. You can follow us all on the LinkedIn, because that is where we post all this information. Our social media handles are all alive with all this information. Ruchita is a very active person in our own space, and she keeps contributing a lot in this for members' benefits. For people who are seeking more of such seminars, there are lots and lots happening. But if you need something particular, someone just mentioned about Japanese. If there's an opportunity coming up in Japan, I'm sure you should be very, very keen and gung-ho about it. So write to us. You can write to us, write to Abhay sir, write to me, write to Monica, write to the secretary, the company, the committee. I'm sure you will get a response and start working towards it. On this note, thank you very much. Have a wonderful time ahead. Happy Navratri to all of you. Enjoy the festive season.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, sir.
Thank you, Ruchita. Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.